Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of marillion and fish. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, welcome to Planet Marzipan. I'm Mezza, and I'm here with my mate,
Big Houston.
Big Houston, the famous Faye. And we're back to talk about Season's End, and we've got our cakey boy buddies with us, so say hello to Mark.
Heidi hi.
Howdy
Mikie.
Howdy ho.
And Dave.
Hello.
And if you've just listened to The Road to Season's End, well done for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
But we're going to get into, as Craig calls it, the meat and bones of the album. So we're going to talk about the first H-era album, Season's End, from start to finish. We'll allude to some of the contents on the Warner's box set. We've got to talk about some gigs from the time and some of the front row discs that cover that period. Here's the Season's End Wikipedia entry. Season's End is the fifth studio album by the British neo-prog band Marillion, released in 1989. The album was the first to feature current lead vocalist Steve Hogarth, following the departure of the former vocalist Fish in late 1988. It reached number 7 on the UK albums chart. So, we've talked about in the lead-up about how we got to this point. Do you want to just sort of give us your overall... We'll start with overall thoughts of Season's End as an album.
Well, the overall thoughts for me is it was the album that got me into the band. First things first, you know, when I first heard it, bought it, gave it a bash, loved it, and said, "Yep, this is for me. This is where I want to go." I already had Misplaced. I already knew a fair bit of stuff because Ralph had played Script to death for us and Misplaced Childhood. Never really got into Script. He didn't like Fugazi, so I hadn't heard that much. Misplaced, I always really liked, and Clutching I really, really liked. But it was Season's End. It was H joining. It was those songs. It was that production. It was things like the guitar solo, East End stuff. That's what got me in. That's what started my proper love affair for the band.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, obviously it was the start of Craig's converting me into a Marillion fan. That it was really Holidays in Eden where I was like, you know, in. But yeah, it was that 8-track final album that sold me. I was there. Fantastic album.
Dave?
Well, as I mentioned on the previous one, it was hearing it in the car as a 7/8-year-old, loving Hooks and You, loving Uninvited Guest, loving half of Easter, only like the second half then. Well, come on, I was 7. I liked Thomas the Tank Engine 2 years before, so let's not, don't hold it against me.
And don't diss Thomas either.
No.
Thomas is classic.
And then it's technically the first Marillion album I bought, although I bought 2 at the same time. Rediscovered it through my dad's record collection when I got a bit older. Through Made Again, the live album. Went back to listen to those, reminded me of some of the songs I liked, and I went out and bought the album and loved Season's End. Just love it. Still one of my favourite records of all time of any band.
And Mark, you were around at the time, weren't you? So
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm the one who went off in the opposite direction.
You went metal.
When this came out, I can't say I really cared for it much, and I lost interest for how long? 7 years or whatever, like an idiot. So, and then come back to it when I got back into the band in '96 or whatever. Come back and loved it. And then you think, what an idiot! I've missed all this, all this stuff that I've missed. I missed the Brave tour, missed the Afraid of Sunlight tour.
They were good then.
Missed this tour, yeah. So,
we just been talking before recording. I think when Hooks and You came out, I wasn't over impressed, if I'm honest. We were all waiting for the next thing. And then as soon as I heard the album, everything was going to be all right. Everything was going to be all right. Sunset Town, amazing start. It's got the Easter solo on it. It's got the first H hairs on the back of your neck moment on the space, and it just keeps revealing more. We've done some research listening to this for this pod, and I'm finding new love for Berlin. It's just such a lot on it. It's such a good album. It really is.
I find with it, there's no song on this album, be it from the main album or any of the B-sides, that I dislike at all. I love every single song on it.
Yeah.
To a lesser degree, obviously.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's nothing that I would say on there that is a stinker that I actually skip at all, and I don't even people pet lipping about Holloway Girl, stuff like that. No, still like it.
No, I love Holloway Girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a but and say I'm not a big fan of the Bell and the Sea, believe it or not.
Mr. Kennedy.
Anyway, shall we do track by track?
Was it too chilly, Mark?
Yeah.
Should we go through it track by track?
That was the bell end in the sea, not the bell.
I was gonna say, yeah. So when it hits you, when it hits there, that's when it's bad, isn't it?
Hey, John, can we take note? It wasn't me this time that brought the level down. Just for once.
This is the Cakey Boys level. Don't try for the third time. Shall we go through it track by track?
It's like kittens this week, isn't it?
Yeah. We didn't have
Yes, John, we'll do track by track.
Okay. King of Sunset Town.
Genius.
Oh, we're not playing Genius of Bollocks, are we?
We can do.
Oh. Not yet.
Not yet, no.
Maybe later.
It's, as usual, Marillion know how to start an album.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Fantastic opener, isn't it?
It almost, I know it's not right, but it just seems to me the remastered version, the latest version, the build-up seems longer. But that could just be me.
I didn't notice that, if I'm honest, but...
it's just probably me being old.
Maybe not. It's 2 seconds shorter.
Let's say there you go.
So
it seems like longer now, doesn't it, Craig?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Tartan slippers.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
That was never 10 minutes. It was 11 minutes. 10 minutes.
It was though, yeah.
How was this for you, dear?
So yeah, like you say, Craig, it's a great opener. I think it reassured the fans from the Fish era as well that this sort of complex prog stuff was still going to be sort of the main draw of the band. I think H's vocal performance is really good on that. If that's a melody made up in Pete's garage, then no wonder they thought he was the man for the job.
Yeah, he's got a good set of lungs on him, H, in that first track. Very far-reaching vocal range. It's everybody's fears should have been put to bed with that one track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they couldn't have picked a better track to open the album with.
Yeah, and a Helmer lyric as well, but I think H tweaked it and messed around with it. I think that was the arrangement, wasn't it? He was free to edit and put extra lines in, and I think they H had a perception that the band wanted him to be very Fish-like, but they basically said to him, "You do your thing. You do whatever you want to do."
Yeah, because they did say that he would only sing the songs that Fish wrote the lyrics to if they meant something to him, or if he could
relate to him. Yeah,
and I think the same thing is with the John Helmer lyrics, because people never tend to mention that. He'll do exactly the same with the John Helmer lyrics. He will only sing stuff that will mean something to him. And if he's got the option to change the lyrics or to mold them in the way that suit what he feels for the song, he's been allowed to do so. And it's worked perfectly at the time.
Yeah. Anything else to say on King of Sunset Town?
It's brilliant.
Don't play it enough.
No, true.
Yeah, it is a good opener as well. Just, with the bit like Splinter and Heart, slow build up sort of thing.
Invisible Man like to do, don't they? So yeah,
it's quite a tough vocal to go straight in first song, I'd imagine.
True. Okay, on to track 2, Easter.
I'm not familiar with that song. They never seem to play it very much.
Never heard of it.
It's not on very many of the releases or anything.
No.
Well, I used to like half of it, and then before I realised how genius the whole lot is. But yeah, I just had it from the solo to the do bits. I loved that, and then obviously realised that it's just an absolutely brilliant piece of music.
It's a perennial favourite, and Didn't they mention on the documentary that people's perception of them would have been a lot different on Season's End if this had been the first single?
I think it should have been the first single.
Yeah.
Here's Merlin with a new single, Vista, released in August.
So I think it should have been. It's more true to the album than Hooksy New, which sticks out like a sore thumb, doesn't it?
Yeah,
They should have just changed the title to August, and then it would have been fine. August here again.
was it Pete said on the documentary that this, Hooks and you would try to be Van Halen,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
It's
Yeah.
like, at the time, rock and metal was really, really popular, and they wanted something that was going to blow the doors off a little bit.
It's ironic that they didn't want to pick a vocalist who was metal, and then they come out with Hooks in You as the first single. Anyway, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Easter's worth it. It was a fantastic track, but it's worth it for Rother's solo alone, isn't it, really?
It is, and considering that they still love playing it now, 35 years later, and if you look up some of the most played songs ever,
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I know it take the piss because, it's played to death and everything, but there's a reason it's played to death because it's a bloody good song.
To be honest, the first gig I went to, I was hoping they would play Easter. The first Marillion gig I went to, I was like, I hope they play Easter. And they did, which is brilliant. So, and it gets you every time, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you got nothing to say about the video for Easter?
Oh, the Giants Causeway, getting cold and wet.
Yeah.
I think it's back in the day where they've never made necessarily brilliant videos. They've always made, okay videos. And that one, H got to do what he wanted to do, didn't he? He had the dream and vision of doing it on the Giants Causeway, and they got to do it. And it looks good.
Yeah. It's good. It's one of the better videos, isn't it? Yeah. Speaking of videos, then, next track, Uninvited Guest.
This should have done much better as a single.
Yeah, it was about 53, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was only 53, and it's a good tune. It's a good single, but I think it was similar to what we mentioned earlier on about the release time scale. Having to do like a single middle of like October, November, you're gonna get swamped by the build up to Christmas. And I just think I can't remember even ever really hearing an invited guest on the radio, even back in the days when they used to get airplay on Radio 1 and stuff like that.
I don't think the intro helps it, if I'm honest. It's a strange sort of... The intro is probably the weakest part of the song for me. As it gets better, it's a bit twee is the intro.
Well, it's a cracking tune.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that they used to play quite often earlier on, but it seems to have disappeared a lot from the set over the last 20 years.
Well, we've had it recently with the...
with the weekends, with the gloves.
Yeah, but that was because they were doing Seasons End. It just doesn't seem to pop up generally.
I think the gloves was a really good touch because I'm sure H was conscious that Fish had all the grease paint and the masks and all of that sort of thing, so he needed his sort of visual thing to do. And I think the gloves was a really cool, different thing, with the perspex, with the lights shining on it. It was really good.
It's the keyboard, it makes you move about and everything.
I mean, yes, it developed into the cricket bat, but there's other artists who've developed it further, aren't there, Mikey?
Oh, yes. Imogen, I mean, pulls apart and, not quite the same technology. I mean, obviously, you're talking decades away apart. Yeah. There's definitely a similarity there in the whole glove technology and music.
Who are you talking about?
It's worth looking into. Imogen Heap.
Oh, right. Okay.
She developed a glove called Mimu.
Mimu?
Mimu. M-I-M-U. Look it up.
What John hears when he hears Björk.
He literally performs on stage just in the air with gloves. It's fantastic.
Right. Okay. Mimu. Never heard that. No? Cool.
Did they not try and hollow out part of a guitar body as well at one time for him to play instead of the cricket bat, had the switches in the body of a guitar, but it was too heavy. I seem to recall that as well.
They tried a tennis racket, didn't they? And they couldn't get that to work. And then the cricket bat. But we were at a weekend in Montreal one year, and somebody put a load of MIDI switches into a hockey stick and he played the hockey stick.
Cool.
um,
Anything else to say on the uninvited guest?
The video was quite cool.
Bit creepy, but yeah.
Bit creepy.
Little creepy.
And H is doing this weird pouty thing when he's staring at himself on the ironing board. When he's sat on the sofa, he's doing this like really weird duck lip pouty thing.
He was ahead of his time.
He was just
He
trying
was,
to be
yeah, clearly, yeah.
lip fillers.
Setting himself up for OnlyFans, probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't give
Moving on.
Yes.
oh, right, write that one down now.
On to the title track then, Season's End.
Stunning.
Beautiful.
No, Season's End.
No, that's right, yeah.
It was
Sorry,
a
that's a
different
different
album,
album, yeah.
That's a
So I
Sunday.
disappeared there for a minute. Rob. No, great song.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think it's the one when I listening and thinking back, I think it was the one song on the album like after Easter's guitar solo. I think Season's End was one of the next songs that got us straight away because the Rotary solo and that on it and all the kind of plinky plonk outro on it is cracking. Love it.
Desperate to see it live, and they opened with it when we went to the Union Chapel gig, which was my 21st birthday, and I was just like absolutely blown away. Love the song.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't put the Plinky Plonk outro on a sticker on the front of the cover,
Yeah.
featuring the Plinky Plonk outro.
I think
just wait for the next reissue. We'll get it on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think the thing about
Extra
Season's End
Plinky
as
Plonk
well for me is at the time of 1989, and a lot of people probably weren't aware of it, was like we had a hole in the ozone layer going on. And I know obviously there's a lot of environmental issues still going on today. But it was quite a pivotal thing in 1989. They were getting rid of CFCs and all the rest of it.
Yeah, they're changing the long bridges and stuff like that, aren't they? Yeah.
And just that line in the song where it goes, "Watch the old world melt away," it got to you, you know? And it's like, it made you sit up and realize, actually, there is something wrong going on and there is something that we should and could be doing about this.
I mean, they've done this a number of times across their career now, where they've had a subject matter that's, you know, really pertinent to the time or what was going on in the world at that time. You know, even as recently as Fear or Gaza Off Sounds, that sort of thing, you know. But I think it's the first instance of that. It's, as you guys have said, it's a stunning track. It really is. It builds nicely. It brings side one to a natural close as well, I think.
Yeah.
I was surprised that H made the comment in the documentary that he initially wasn't particularly keen on the track. When the first time I think I heard it, I was like, oh, it's great. You know, he said he wasn't, but it's kind of grown on him over time, you know?
Yeah. It's different to the other tracks on the album, and it's better for it, I think. It brings some variety that isn't there elsewhere. But no, great track. On to side two then, Holloway Girl. I
love Pete's bass playing on this. And the scratchy intro, it's just got such a nice feel to it. It's a really, really nice track like that. And I know H has questioned his own feelings on the song now. You know, get back to the documentary, he doesn't like it the same way, and he's got a different feeling to it now. It's not heavy-handed in the subject matter of, you know, why is this person in prison kind of thing. You know, it can be read on multiple levels.
Yep.
I think it's good. We don't hear it live enough, I don't think. You only tend to hear it when they play the album as a whole. But no, it's a great, another sort of textural layer to the album, really.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's you listen to the album through, and it's not samey.
No.
You know, you can look at some rock albums and some artists, and you think, oh well, there's not a great deal of difference between the songs on the album. You know, whether they're doing a version of 4-bar blues or whatever. You know, but there's more to this.
Blues? You're not talking about it again?
We're not talking about blues. You're all right.
No. You know what song I think you're going to mention?
What? Well, there's no Battleship Grey and all that. No.
Heartship Grey. Yeah. Berlin. Saxtastic.
Saxtastic. Love it.
It's epic. And I think, you know, funny going back to the Clutching at Straws deluxe with the music of Berlin with the lyrics of Family Business didn't work at all, really. But no, it's
because your brain can't cope.
brain can't compute.
Yeah.
Brain can't compute because we know how it kind of should have sounded. But I think even back in the day when they wrote the song, and it was almost out of date 6 months later when the Berlin Wall fell, it became it suddenly became the Ipcris files and stuff like that. It suddenly became a piece of history of the Cold War.
Damn you, David Hasselhoff! It's all your fault.
bringing those lovely Germans back together again with his songs of Nightmare.
Yeah,
I've revisiting the album and the remix and the surround, which I'll talk about later. I've got a newfound love for Berlin. The second half of Berlin, from You Mad Dog Shaving Head, that is just
I love that.
Amazing.
And
Always been one of my favourite songs.
They played it in Berlin at the weekend and this year with the live saxophone player, and it was just amazing. Yeah. It was something else.
It's really good. It's really good.
It was probably my least favourite track on the record at first, but it's kind of one that's grown on me over time, and it's like, yeah, I agree. I think it's a really, really good track. That end part especially, yeah.
Not played enough.
No.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm going to be the heathen of the group here and say...
Come on, then we'll get the pitchforks, and knives, and the torches out.
It's probably my least favourite track on the album, and I don't know why. I know I should like it more.
It's how you feel.
Each their own. But like Craig said earlier on, there's like the album may not be the most coherent album, as a whole, but each one of those tracks offers something different to what Marillion can be and are. And as much as other people might not like the fact that Hooks and You is the next track, I think it breaks up the heaviness that side 2 of the vinyl actually was, because it was quite a hard listen for me, I think, at the time. But in retrospect, I am appreciating both Holloway Girl and Berlin a lot more than I used to.
Well, apologies to you vinyl lovers of the original album, but we're going to go with the current CD, so that means After Me is next.
I like After Me. I think it's a nice, it's a very short tune.
Yeah.
But it's a nice tune. And H's lyrics on it, where he's explaining, back to the documentary again, a lot about being away and being on tour and the feelings with that. It's a deeper song than I think people necessarily appreciate. But I think it's a corking little tune. I don't know if it fits as well with the other songs on the album and how this kind of made it onto the CD and something like the release or Bell and the Sea. I was
just going to say, do you think they should have swapped it with the release? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Should have swapped Hooks in You for the release.
So After Me, what do the rest of the guys think?
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah, like Craig said, I think there was a lot more going on with that track than what is first apparent. So I think depth through surface would be what I would say about that one.
Yeah, I've always liked it. I mean, great lyric, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the guitars at the end, the build, and there's like sustained guitar at the end. Really, really like that. Yeah.
It's good the way it sort of starts off really sparse and then everybody joins in towards the big ending. Okay, Mikey, Hooks in You.
Oops. Hooks in You.
For us.
Is that an after it, you decadent bastard?
Bloody love it. Sorry. Bit of Van Halen slapped right bang in the middle of a prog album. What's not to like?
What's your view on the Meaty mix then?
Oh, fantastic. It reminds me of the difference if you kind of compare it to Queen's Hammer to Fall. If you've got the Headbangers mix of that, it kind of reminds me of the difference, going from the single version or album version into a 12-inch version. And although it's not a 12-inch version per se, that Meaty mix, what's not to love about it? Brilliant.
Yeah, my favourite's the Meaty mix.
Meaty mix, definitely, yeah.
Nah, I think I'd rather a meat trade from the Social Club, personally.
Best of order.
Best of order for the turn.
A meat raffle. Yeah.
But it's a shame that they haven't put the Meaty mix on the deluxe.
Is it not on the bonus track?
It's not on there, no. The extended 12-inch version of uninvited guests on there, but they omitted the meaty mix.
Although having said that, it's not on the. It wasn't on the '97 one either, was it?
No.
So
No.
But
Right.
it is on Best of Both Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, we'll be writing to Lucy again, won't we, boys?
Mikey
You
would
might-
like
you
a
might be.
14 disc version of this album. Okay, on to the big finish, the space.
rubbish.
Wow.
overblown guff.
Obviously,
Overworked
I can't
guff.
speak for. Obviously, I can't speak for past Marillion fans who, at the time, were probably very scared about what the future was going to hold. That one track on the entire album, apart from the opener, should have put everything to bed. It is probably still in my top 5 best ever Marillion songs, and I never tire of listening to it. End of. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a banger of a track. I'm getting down with the kids.
Yeah, since I properly got back into the band in my late teens, I think it has been and probably still is my favourite Marillion song.
Is it? Wow.
I remember you. I remember when we first met you, David, and you were the space was the song you really wanted to hit. I hadn't played it for a while, and the space was the song you really wanted to hear live. And I remember the first time we were all up at a gig and they played it. I remember that. I remember the look on your face.
Yeah, I used to get excited in those days. I'm old and wizened now, unfortunately. But, there we go.
It's the first real H hairs on the back of your neck moment for me. Everybody in the whole of the world from that point onwards.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I mean, it's a great song anyway, but and really interesting, jumping around a little bit. But some of the bonus tracks, the strings groove in Dalgarnar Castle is the space, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So that's back to August '88.
Well, I have to say, I listened to that for the first time yesterday because the Blu-ray demos had eluded me since I actually bought the re-release. So doing my little bit of homework for today, I thought, I'll give the demos a run through. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it sounded really, really good.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Just listening to Strings Groove, it just felt just good, didn't it?
Yeah.
You were going somewhere with it.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic way to end the album.
Yeah.
As you say, Mike, it was great live then, it still is now. I know it gives H the jitters occasionally because certainly as the tour goes on, the end of that song is where it shows when he gets wear and tear on his voice. I remember him talking about All One Tonight and not knowing when he started the song whether he'd get to that point.
Yeah, I think that night at the Royal Albert Hall when they did the space and when he got to that bit and when he nailed it, he relaxed and he knew everything. You could see it, and talking to him afterwards, he knew everything was going to be all right, and he knew that they'd done it, sort of thing, and it was going to be okay.
And as good as the All One Tonight Blu-ray and that is, you don't quite get the feeling of how it was in the hall that night when that song finished, because the place just erupted.
Yeah.
It was epic.
I remember they played it a couple of nights before in Utrecht before they got to the Royal Albert Hall, and it was the first song after the intermission, and I was still standing in the queue to get a beer, and I just heard and I legged it back in. I stuffed the beer. I legged it back in the hall. So
just talking about it now, it's amazing how many of these songs are still in the set. I think that's a testament to how good they are.
Yeah, and the space is the one. It's one of Vanessa's favourite Marillion songs, and it's the one when she wants to show somebody something, she'll invariably put a version of the space on.
Yeah.
Oh.
So next up will be The Bell in the Sea. We're going to the B-side. Now, what, Mark? Come on, what's wrong with The Bell in the Sea? Come on.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like. Maybe it's because it's before the release on the CD. And as you know, the release is just if they played the release at every single gig, I'd be perfectly happy.
It was funny though, because with the release, I mean, they never really played that live properly until, was it like 97 at the, sorry, no, 2007 at the weekend?
Yeah.
And we were bouncing up and down to that.
We were, but that was Friends night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think H certainly during, I mean, we were jumping around because we were loving it all, but during, I think it's You Don't Need Anyone, H is sort of saying, come on, get into it, to the crowd. So I think he was a bit frustrated with the reaction that they were getting from this slightly unusual set.
Yeah, but you don't need anybody. That was a proper rarity because it only ever shown up on the reissue of Holidays in Eden.
Yeah.
So it hadn't been.
I love that song when I got that CD. I absolutely love that song. You guys are, yeah.
It's brilliant. It really is.
So when did we first see the Bell in the Sea live? Because that was quite a long time afterwards.
I don't know, because they used to do a version of Bell in the Sea when everything broke down. They do a version with Pete on bass.
Yeah, which I do like that. Well, you know, with the dum.
Yeah.
I know.
Just with Pete's bass line.
Was it round about Strange Engine was the first time?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Craig, because I have a vague recollection of the Strange Engine tour. Was it Red Carbo went to?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There's a live recording of it from around that time, I think, on something.
It's Oxford, isn't it?
Yeah, that might be it, yeah.
Zodiac, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But to be fair, both the B-sides, both Bell in the Sea and the release, are worthy of being on the album.
Yeah, definitely.
They're definitely not throwaway B-sides at all. They're really, really good, strong songs.
They're not tossed off.
Well,
overworked guff.
That's going back to last week.
No, they're really strong tracks. They are, and I think if the album had come out, say 3 or 4 years later, when it was all about the CD, I think they would have put them on the main album.
Yeah.
But I think that this was still geared to vinyl at this point, wasn't it? After Me was always the bonus track on the CD, so to get you to buy it, but
it's always the point now though. I'm quite surprised that nobody's thought, well, why can't we just, when next time we do a reissue, put them on the main CD, and then but what order would you then have the things on, and would it screw up everybody's thoughts of season then?
Well, then you get all the debate from the fans about this isn't the original album anymore, is it? You've messed around with it.
Oh, we're going to do that with this album.
Speaking of which, we've ignored the elephant in the room. Now we're looking at the Warner's remix reissue.
So hang on. So you can't get an elephant. You can get an elephant in your room, but you can't get 3 monitors.
That's right. Here's my little CD-shaped elephant in the room. The cover.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kennedy, as a representative of the band, what the hell's this all about?
Did you read the press release?
Probably, but I was too busy laughing at that point to actually take it in. I was just checking the calendar, see it wasn't the 1st of April.
Yeah, I said, here's the press release. We're sorry, we're really sorry. We can't actually appreciate how sorry we actually are. We're sorry.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
We left H alone in a room with some crayons.
Not that bad.
He bit half of them.
Go on then, what do you think of the cover?
I don't have a problem with it, to be honest.
I kind of probably with Mark, probably prefer the original, but I'm not really that bothered about it. But I think, again, I don't have the maybe connection to the album cover with coming to the album later on. So
maybe that's it for me as well, a little bit, But
so I'm kind of 50-50 on it, really. I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, I appreciate updating things, but for me, this is a deluxe edition reissue of an album that already exists. And although they have tweaked or used back covers for previous deluxe editions, that was a little bit too radical for my liking. And as I said in the previous podcast, I'm getting old and I don't like change.
Down with that sort of thing.
I love Carl Glover's work on the original, and I agree. Yes, it could probably do with being updated or tweaked a bit or refined, but a complete redesign and a ditching of the old Marillion logo, I don't know how I sit with that.
See, I've liked all the other interpretations. I think the Holidays in Eden cover looks really classy for, using the image and stuff like that. I understand the Afraid of Sunlight one, using the artwork that they wanted to use, which is kind of nice. Brave, obviously, they just changed the colour because they were sick of the brown kind of covers.
Yeah, nobody likes brown. That's a big no-no.
Mr.
Yes, we
Kelly
all like a
doesn't
bit of blue,
brown,
don't we?
does he?
Bit of blue. We all like a bit of blue.
But this, no.
It's not the cover of the album.
No.
It's nothing like that.
I mean, even if they'd stuck with rectangles even rather than triangles, I'm sure there was a press release which explained everything, but
There is actually.
Come on, then, Marty.
And that
I'm
12,
gonna
that 12
read
in the
it.
corner looks.
there's
that
so much
12 in the corner
space
looks
to use on the front of this as well. The triangles are so small, and I want to like it more than I actually do. But if that album came out now from Marillion,
You wouldn't have an issue with it. No, you
I probably
have
wouldn't
an issue
question it. It looks, in itself, it probably is okay.
It's
But
nicely
to me, that's your
spot.
season's end.
It's nicely spot varnished.
Oh, look, a little bit of spot varnish. That's
Oh,
lovely.
Simon loves his spot varnish. That's that's all Simon.
And to be fair, inside the booklet, as much as I didn't really relate to the Holidays in Eden release with the individual lyric pages and the imagery that went with it, for this one, I really love it. I think,
Very orange.
the artwork inside, I love, but I don't know. Just
Very
can't get
orange.
the cover.
Yes, it's very orange.
It's very orange.
It is very orange, yes.
That's very blue.
Well, that bit is, yeah. At the back.
What do you make of it, John?
Like Mikey said, I could cope with them tweaking the cover, but this isn't a tweak. This is a bloody Stock Aitken and Waterman remix. This is not, not a tweak, is it? It's a German dance version of it. It's just,
yeah, ding dong.
yeah, exactly. If it got the logo from the time on it, that would help me more. But I think some members of the band have got an issue with that, haven't they?
They're not just a band. I'm not a fan of that logo. I don't like it. I just don't. So.
But they've admitted that they used that logo at the time as continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're 35 years later now, though.
You're reissuing that album.
Yeah. So what's over? Come on then, Mark. Get the press release out for the lads.
All right. Okay. So yada yada yada. Blah blah blah.
Well, that was informative.
Was it by Alex Lifeson?
As well as a change in vocals, Season's End also marked a change in visual identity with the band, which has been reflected in the 2023 Deluxe Edition. At the time, there was a desire for a change of direction from the more illustrative style of Mark Wilkinson's artwork and logo, replacing that with a more photographic graphic style provided by Bill Smith Studio and Carl Glover, who went on to work with the band over the coming years. A new direction began, with Steve Hogarth now fronting the band, and with this first release of Season's End, there was a need to retain some familiar elements for existing fans of the band, so a decision was made to carry through the original logo and nods to previous artworks. The 2023 Deluxe Edition has taken on another new approach, which took some of the original artwork elements without the need for older logos and imagery, presented in a slightly different form. Based around the four main elements of earth, air, fire, and water, from the original cover concept, the rectangular panels became triangular, as these are often depicted in symbology. Panels sat in a background with an abstract representation of the space, see what they did there, out of which these elements are born, giving it all a more universal feel. A whole new range of images were then created for each of the 10 tracks using the same abstract collage style to tie it all together as content for these extended art books that accompany the 2023 releases.
I can feel the need for a poll. I think we need a poll on this episode.
You've got the need for a poll.
Yes.
But also, we should have our press release. And if anybody's watching this podcast, you'll see our new Planet Mars version of this album cover.
There's only one poll left, though, after Mark's criticising all of you Polish listeners. So
We never did actually publicly talk about the result of the poll that was on Lucy's episode.
Well, because you don't find well, you'd be kind of cheering and kind of doing your lap of honor.
I mean, what are the chances of Supertramp being Prog? 70%, I think you'll find. Anywho,
yeah. The other thing I would hold the album cover up. The other thing I would like to say is that the triangular. See how it appears to be MW.
Yeah.
For Marillion Weekend. It's not. It's just
not.
the shape of the. It's just the shape of the things. Because there was a few people said, "Oh, it was an unused cover for a racket release of the Marillion Weekend." Well, it wasn't.
Okay.
I think would it be nice for a cover for a Marillion Weekend?
Well, it's not.
See, that I could get on board with.
Yeah. Shall we talk about the contents of the package?
It's a nice package.
Ding dong.
Disc 1 is the 2023 remix of the album. Disc 2 is Season's End live at De Montfort Hall in Leicester on the 29th of May 2022. And CD 3 is the encores from that gig. What are your views on using a 2022 gig instead of one from the period?
I would have liked a period one because of the set list back then.
But there weren't any.
There's a historical one. But if they've used all the ones that were the best quality, then I can appreciate that. I think, though, the Montreal gig, that's the bootleg one that is on the Blu-ray, is very nice, though. I think the sound quality on that is really good, and I think it's a good gig. So I appreciate that. It's actually a good gig. The Leicester gig and the playing and the quality of the gig is probably far superior to whatever you're going to have from 35 years ago. And, you know, that you've got a band who are on top form playing the album. So I can appreciate it for what it is. And I think it's a good album. It's a good set. It's a good recording of the album. But yes, as a historical piece, it would have been nice to have had a gig from the time. But I'm not going to fight over it.
I agree with you, but we are well served on gigs from that time having been released already, because you've got De Montfort Rocksteady in the bootleg box, volume 2. Then you've got 3 front row discs from that tour as well. There's front row 36 is Besançon in France in October. That's the first full H gig. I have to say the quality of that is bloody awful. I do not recommend that at all. But I can understand why it was released. You've got the reissue of the Glasgow Barrowlands gig on the 4th of December 89, which was originally a Racket CD and then was reissued on Front Row as Front Row 5. And then you've got, which is the one I recommend the most, Front Row 14, which is the Ritz in Roseville, America, on the 22nd of February 1990. It's a brilliant recording, is this. It's great atmosphere. It's almost a full set. I mean, the set didn't change across the tour. It just got a little bit longer as they went out into the stuff in 1990. But the main set was the same throughout. So we are kind of well served. So I can understand. I feel the same as you, Craig. It maybe should have been something from the era, but it would be duplicating stuff we've already got.
Yeah, there was nothing new available.
What would it be nice though, is if they put the bootleg on Spotify and the streaming services as well. That would be nice, just so people had a version to actually get that way on. So
was the Montreal gig ever considered for the bonus disc, Matt?
For the actual gig?
The one that's on the bootleg that's on the Blu-ray, was that ever considered for the
CD 2 and 3? No.
Yeah, right. Just
it's basically quality. Basically, I think because there was no multi-tracks of any Season's End shows, so
yeah,
I think everybody decided, well, we'll use the Leicester show, and it's a nice way of bookending it, sort of thing. Soon as it's the last of the EMI,
and I think
deluxes as well.
Yeah, people would have kicked off if they'd reused the Rocksteady version again.
Yeah,
since it's been available in multiple.
And is the Rocksteady not on there as well, anyway? Or...
Yeah, the Rocksteady, the videos on it.
Yeah.
The film's
there
on
you
it,
go.
so
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, onto the Blu-ray then. You've got the 2023 remix in 5.1 and stereo. I'll talk about 5.1 shortly. For all you surround fans, We haven't done this for a few weeks. Look, everybody's switching off on the sub screen in front of me. And you've got Season's End B-sides, demos, and early versions. We've talked about some of these. Some great demos of Strings Groove and Strings Groove with Synths, which, as we've said, is the space from Dalgonar Castle in August 88. You've got Amsterdam demo, which is again is a further demo of the space from March 89. Easter demo, Hooks in You, at the end of the day, which is an early version of the release.
Yeah, and they've still got the tic-tac-toe intro on that version.
Yeah. And then there's a H dictaphone demo, which is him singing into his dictaphone.
Which is awful quality, isn't it?
It is, yeah,
Dictaphone what?
I was just thinking of that. Can I use your dictaphone? No, use your finger like everybody else.
It's just an idea for the bridge of the song, I think, isn't it? Then you've got the Uninvited Guest 12-inch mix, Spelling the Sea release, and the demos that were on the original 97 reissue. And then the Montreal bootleg that we've talked about, which is the full set, really. And
I think it's a really good. It's a nice recording as well. For classing it as a bootleg, it does actually sound better than that. So I think it's a good recording. It's a nice bonus extra to have for somebody who wants something of the period.
I think we've said, as these have come to the end, the band are really packing the Blu-ray with content now, aren't they? Putting lots of extra stuff on there.
Yeah, it's good to have like Stoke Road to Ipanema on, as well as the full rock steady version. It's a bit funny though, because on the Stoke Road to Ipanema, it cuts out after, is it just one or two songs? Yeah, it does. It did. On the original Stoke Road to Ipanema, you had the edited version of Rock Steady, and then you had what they called the director's cut, which was the full concert.
Well, it's fair enough. They've just put the whole concert on now, haven't they?
They've put the whole concert on now, but they do have the first, I think 15 minutes of Rock Steady on the end of Stoke Road there.
Well, that's quite probably what went out on the telly, is it?
No, because it's only the first two songs, like 15 minutes, not 50.
Okay. And then you got promos for Hooks in You, Easter, and Uninvited Guest.
Yeah, and the Season's End documentary.
Yeah.
Little gripe about one of the CDs then.
Go on then.
Go on then.
Disc 3.
You could get more on it.
Well, what was the point?
It's the encores from the gig, Mikey. I've said that.
You know me. As with the Holidays in Eden release, we've got a bunch of B-sides and a bunch of demos that I would quite like to rip, but I can't because it's on a Blu-ray. I would have preferred that. Well, because I'm old and I need,
No, we're back to a 16-disc version.
I would have liked that part of the Blu-ray as disc 3.
I can kind of see what you're saying. There's some stuff that's never been on CD before, so the first 5 demos have never come out before.
Yeah.
They might have been nice tacked on the end or something, but yeah. Okay, but you've got them. You just can't rip
I've got it. I know.
But it's a big thumbs up from us. Isn't it good value?
Oh, yeah. It's a cracking disc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well worth buying and get them while you can. Don't wait until they get deleted.
What about the 5.1 mix, boys? You've all listened to it.
That's it. Where's the tumbleweed?
We've only got 2 ears.
And half a brain.
That's enough for us to do a barbershop quartet thing for John and do that in surround for him.
Do it.
Oh.
What are you going to do?
Oh.
I just made some quick notes when I was listening to it the other day. It's nice, and it brings something to it that you don't get from the stereo remix, I think. King of Sunset Town has got Rothers picking around in the back speakers around the back of you. When we get to the Ragged Man came shuffling through, the keys are all in the rears, everything else in the front. Easter has got that solo from Rothers in the front 2 speakers and everything else in the rears. Uninvited Guest, keys in the rears. Rothers appears in the rears for the I've reserved the seat behind you section, and then it wraps to the front. It's a really nice effect. Season's End, the guitar, the picking section that Rothers does at the beginning, it kind of circles around all 4 corner speakers. It's really good. The instrumental section's got the guitar in the rears and Kelly's keyboards in the front. And then when Rothers does a solo, it switches. They're just subtle effects, these, but it really, you fans of 5.1, of which there are no others on this podcast at the minute, it's really good. Holloway Girl, what did you call Pete's riff when we were talking about it, Craig?
What, the scratchy riff?
The scratchy riff. Pete's bass riff starts in the back two speakers, and then everything else comes in on the front speaker. It's really nice build-up. Berlin, again, it's got Rothers picking intro across the speakers, and there's some Kelly keyboard riffs and keyboard parts I've not really heard before in the original mix. I've just got so into the Berlin second half that I've just put lots going on. Sounds amazing. After Me starts with just the front two speakers with the acoustic section, and then again as the band comes in, it fills out so it's on all four corners and the center speaker. Hooks in You, guitar all over the place. I've put. Don't know what I mean by that. There's just lots of guitar. And the space is probably the mix that works the least well for me, because of the way it builds at the end. Having all that space in the space doesn't give you the big finish as much. But overall, I think it's a good remix, and it's a nice addition to the catalogue.
So are we going to prepare ourselves? Because you know what's next.
Well, you can take part because you've all got your.
Yeah. We're
talking about my favourite slot.
Your favourite slot.
Ooh. Just for the record. Sexy.
Get your big boxes out.
I haven't got the big box of this. All I've got is the 12-inch picture disc album back from 1989.
Okay. Well, the guys have got
a vinyl.
You guys have got your originals, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I've got the original 89 here.
Same.
Yeah. Mark's going to get... Look, what's that? Oh, dear. Well, Mark, it's either Lego or King Crimson with Mark, so guess what he's holding up?
King Crimson.
King Crimson.
He wouldn't let it lie.
So the original pressing's nice, isn't it? Still sounds good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my go-to.
Yeah. I was just mentioning to Craigie Boy earlier on today that I played the original vinyl in between Christmas and New Year, and I still think sonically, for a recording done in 1989, it still sounds like it was mastered really well. It still holds up. So I have yet to get the reissued vinyl, but I think it's going to be top of my want list now after revisiting Season's End so much recently.
David,
time of recording, this box is 60 quid on Amazon.
Oh,
it's come right down.
Well worth it.
Bargain.
But
Dave, you've got both, haven't you?
Got both, yes. I've seen you've been comparing the two, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been comparing the two. So I've always had my original copy, which was my go-to copy because I listen to most of my music on vinyl, and picked up the other one, I think, a few months ago. And yeah, I really like the remix. I kind of agree with Mike. I think the original's really well done. It's slightly warmer for me. The remix is the bass tones. There's some really nice sounds on the bass that maybe slightly different. My only gripe is the end of the space. It sounds, the vocals sounds different to me. It sounds I don't know. It almost sounds live rather than how I remember the original. But it must just be my ears.
But some stuff was re-recorded. Because they did miss that. There was some of the files missing for some of the songs. So there was because the thing on H's podcast a while ago where he was talking about having to re-record some of the vocals.
Well, maybe it's that then.
So,
but
it's possible.
Yeah, but that's my only little gripe. I think it's a good record. I think people should get it even if they've got the original, just to have both.
So what do you think of the box then, John?
I think the box. This is what was the one we did recently? Was it? I can't remember. Was it Holidays?
Holidays, yeah.
It's towards the end of the series. I think these inner sleeves in the box, they just look generic. They're all the same. They're all slightly like a different orange or a blue with the same pictures. Whereas if you go back to the early, like the clutching ones, they've all got different images on the inner sleeves. I know that's a bit picky, but the booklet's fantastic in the 12-inch format. And, I get a big 12-inch version of that album cover that I don't like the look of as well. Look, I get it twice.
That's handy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Just to look at this.
I
But
just,
is there not a big picture of the is there not a big picture of the original on the inside?
oh, yeah, yeah, there is. But it's got a black band. But yeah,
Just bend it round.
could do. Yeah, yeah.
Colour it in.
I think I mean, the Leicester gig sounds great on here. It's, I think the price of these has really shot up. The price to manufacture, I'm sure.
Yeah, the manufacturing price of everything's gone up. So,
but if you can pick it up for 50 or 60 quid, I'll definitely recommend it. But yeah, nice set. Nice set. Okay.
Yeah.
So all that leaves us with is Genius or Bollocks.
I was going to add one thing in.
Okay.
What would do Genius or Bollocks? Rewatching the Leicester de Montfort Hall gig from Rocksteady. How young they look.
Well, yeah.
35 years. But I actually remember watching that live on Channel 4 when it was broadcast. And that was, again, one of the things that cemented, because I never got to see the season's end tour. It's one of the things that cemented the love for the band, is seeing how much energy they actually had live, and each climbing all over on the speakers and things. And they were they were and still are such a tight band. And yeah, they're just absolutely cracking. Absolutely.
Yeah, I must admit, having rewatched that recently, it's one of them things that you'd kind of wished you'd been there on that tour. For me, and I know
some of us were.
I was 15 at the time. Blah blah blah. But watching that gig, and when it comes out of King of Suntown and dives into Slanty Math, and you just see the crowd just start bouncing, it just again, all fear should have been put to bed. That Steve's portrayal as a front man was just so much energy running around that stage, and look, he can play keyboards and things. It looked like a fantastic gig to have been at.
The one thing I don't miss though at gigs now is the way that you got the entire audience punching the air halfway through the songs and things like that. Oh no!
I remember. I saw him twice on that tour. I saw him at Sheffield City Hall on the 11th of December '89. I was about 4 rows from the stage because it was all seated. And I remember the sort of anticipation before they came on. And within about 2 minutes of them singing Sunset Town, it was a different band, but it was all right. As Mikey says, it was all right. I did see him later on in the tour in the following year when they played the NEC.
So that was at the end of the tour, wasn't it?
It was
that in Wembley.
In July. Well, they actually did Hull City Hall on the 9th of July, NEC on the 11th, because that's where I first met David, Ibbott and Andy on the coach. They'd been to Hull City Hall, and then we got a coach from York to go to the NEC on the 11th. Unfortunately, this was the start of the big black curtain over the seats where we're not quite sold enough tickets, but great shows, really good shows.
It was one of the longest tours, though, wasn't it, as well?
It was, because they started in '89 in Besançon on the 5th of October in France.
Yeah.
We're out in Europe and came back. They did the Zenith on the 25th of October. They played the Astoria in London.
They bumped that one in, didn't they?
7th of November. It was an extra show, yeah. Then they went out to America to play a couple of gigs in New York and LA in November.
Yeah. Are you reading the back of the Easter T-shirt? Because that's got all the...
I'm not doing that, Mark. But you could do that, yeah.
Available from Racket Records.
Absolutely. It's a very nice shirt.
Thank you.
And then out into the UK dates, started on the 4th of December at Barrowlands in Glasgow, ended on the 18th at Hammersmith, into 1990. They went out to Brazil and America in January and February. The Rio, is it the Rio gig that's on Stowe Row?
Yeah.
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 And it's now on the Space, isn't it? that gig,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, the whole Tim did some work on it as well. So
Yeah. They then went into Europe again, March to April, and back to America in June 1990 and played a fair few dates out there, actually, into Quebec and Ontario as well. Back to the UK for the dates that we mentioned at the NEC and Wembley Arena. And they played a fan club show in Utrecht in September 1990. And that was the first airing of This Town. So we're just starting to move into the holidays era. But yeah, it's a long old tour from October to July, really.
It was probably the most intense touring that they've done since probably they started.
Yeah.
It was quite, and when you're trying to build up a new fan base or trying to keep your old fan base alive, they did a lot of work. They did a lot of work.
But some good shows. It was great to be there and to feel like our band were in good hands, you know.
And we're still here 35 years later.
Absolutely.
yeah,
absolutely.
And the
So
best
did you want to play Genius or Bollocks then?
I think we should. We haven't done Genius or Bollocks for a good while. We're not
And here's
doing-
one of the inventors of said Genius or Bollocks
Yes.
sitting right next to us.
How's it going down with our American listeners?
Oh, they love it.
They love it, Dave.
They don't understand it, but they love it.
Whoa. We have a lot of American listeners, Craig. Stop
maybe
it.
maybe for the Americans, drive-by progging might be a
Drive-by progging.
Yeah.
All right. King of Sunset Town, Genius or Bollocks?
Genius,
Genius.
genius,
Easter, Genius or Bollocks?
double genius.
Genius.
genius,
Genius.
Uninvited guest, Genius or Bollocks?
Genius,
Genius.
Genius.
genius,
Season's End, Genius or Bollocks?
double genius.
Genius.
genius,
Genius squared.
Holloway Girl, Genius or Bollocks?
Oh, genius. This is going to be
Genius.
genius,
Acquired genius.
Okay.
Sorry, are you getting all American? Berlin, Genius or Bollocks?
Quadruple genius.
Genius.
but yeah, genius,
Don't
genius,
choke there, Mikey.
Is that
After
bollocks,
me,
Mikey?
Genius or Bollocks?
Genius.
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 genius,
Hooks in you, Genius or Bollocks?
Just because it pumps the adrenaline and it's genius.
Bollocks.
genius,
No, I'm going with genius.
I'm going to vote this time. It's Bollocks. And the space, Genius or Bollocks?
Ooh. Genius.
Genius.
It's a silly question.
overworked guff genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
Genius cubed.
Absolutely. What a fantastic record.
And the B-sides, genius, both of them.
Oh, God. Greg just wants to play Genius or Bollocks all night now.
All right,
Yeah.
genius. Bollocks.
Yeah, well, can't move on because I've got to walk the dog.
Well, look, it's been great chatting with you guys. It's good to see you all and fantastic to reminisce about this brilliant, brilliant record. I think we all agree it's really important to us. It's really important in the history of the band. And despite this awful cover, fantastic.
Nod off.
It's a fantastic package. Highly, highly recommended. Anyway, if you'd like to say good night, Mark,
Good night.
Mikey,
Good night, all.
Dave,
Night.
Faye,
Good night.
it's
Merry
good night from
Christmas.
me. It's good night from them. Take care.
Stay alive.
There's always one. You've got to get it in there. Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com. Then check out Marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu for all the good stuff.